Good evening, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of God be on you. We acknowledge with gratitude that we are on the unceded territories of Shongais and the Squamish nations who have been steward of this land for thousands of years. I welcome all of you to the 20th World Religions Conference Victoria 2026 with the topic of Building Bridges. It is our tradition to start the program with the recitation of Holy Quran. I will request Mr. Naveed Mirza to come to the podium and present the recitation of Holy Quran with English translation.
May peace and blessings of God be upon all of you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أهل الكتاب تعالوا إلى كلمات سواء بيننا وبينكم ألا نعبد إلا الله ولا نشرك به شيئا ولا يتخذ بعضنا بعضا أربابا من دون الله فإن تولوا فقولوا اشهدوا بأننا مسلمون. Translation: I seek refuge from Satan the cursed in the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Say, O people of the book, come to a word equal between us and you, that we worship none but Allah, and that we associate no partner with him, and that some of us take not others for lords besides Allah. But if they turn away, then say, bear witness that we have submitted to God.
Jazakallah, and thank you very much, Mr. Naveed Mirza Sahib. Now I'm going to request Sia from Swas First Nation to present indigenous blessing ceremony for this occasion. So please.
Asiam Siaya. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Payaftanat. I'm Peyton's grandma. I just came up to introduce my grandson. He's 16 years old. He's a student at Parkland Secondary, and he has an interest in law for his future. He's going to offer a prayer for you today, and a prayer for those who cannot be here, and those who are at home suffering, or those who need some guidance to see the light. I'm proud that my grandson can stand here today and offer this blessing for all of you. Paisha.
Thank you very much, Peyton. Started in 2005, Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at Victoria, in collaboration with churches, temples, and multi-faith organization, is pleased to host the 20th World Religions Conference Victoria. Building bridges in our community means fostering understanding, collaboration, and meaningful relationships among people of diverse faiths and backgrounds. This conference will explore practical strategies for strengthening community bonds and creating a more inclusive society. With that brief introduction, now we're gonna watch a video message of National President, Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, Canada, Mr. Respected Dol Khan Sahib, on our projector. I would request my fellow over here to play that video.
Presenters and participants of the 20th World Religion Conference in Victoria, BC. Assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings of God be upon you all. My apologies for not being able to join you in this conference. However, I am very pleased to mark an historic milestone in Victoria. By the grace of God, today's conference marks 20 years of continued collaboration and humble efforts to establish peace and harmony in the world. We are thankful to everyone in Victoria for joining us in the Islamic tradition of finding with each other in goodness. By the grace of Allah, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at Victoria, in collaboration with churches, temples, and multi-faith organizations, is pleased to host the 20th World Religion Conference. The first conference was held in 2005 at the University of Victoria. It was attended by more than 300 guests. I am informed that hundreds of guests are expected to attend this conference tonight. Over the years, we have had themes including kindness and kinship, pathway to peace, relevance of religion to the modern life, and healing a polarized world. The current topic of building bridges is very relevant today. In a world full of conflicts, it is urgent to have discussions on building bridges between people, between communities, and between nations. It is the need of the time. Building bridges means fostering understanding, collaboration, and meaningful relationships among people of diverse faiths and backgrounds. This conference will explore practical strategies for strengthening community bonds and creating a more inclusive and resilient society. The religious scholars from various faith traditions present their perspective on how their faiths contribute to building bridges in the community. The worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at, Hazrat Masroor Ahmad, may Allah be his helper, has guided the world for the need of justice and permanent peace. And I conclude my remarks with his words, and I quote: as Ahmadi Muslims, we have always strived for peace in the world, through our words, through our deeds, and through our prayers, and we will continue to do so forever, God willing. To promote and work for peace is the urgent need of the time. Otherwise, the direction the world is heading in seems certain to lead to a catastrophic world war, whose potentially devastating consequences are unimaginable. Thus, let us unite against the forces of evil that seeks to divide mankind, and let us unify in the name of peace and harmony. Congratulations and best wishes on the 20th World Religion Conference in your Victoria. Thank you.
Sure. Now we have a couple of dignitaries with us tonight. I'm gonna first request Mr. Ashok Agarwal from Multi-Faith Summit Council of BC to come to the podium and share his thoughts. As Mr. Ashok is making his way to the podium, I will request rest of the dignitaries to please move closer to the stage so that we can utilize the time efficiently. Thank you.
Good evening, respected Andrew, and respected all religious leaders, Karen Harper. I'm really very delighted to be a part of World Religion Conference. My friend Rizwan and his team, I really appreciate for doing such a tremendous work for so many years, bringing the community together. I really admire Rizwan. I know Andrew also very well. He has been a part of Multi-Faith Society. By the way, my name is Dr. Ashok Agarwal. I used to work in the physics department, University of Victoria. And now I'm retired from University of Victoria and working with the board of Multi-Faith Summit Council of VC. I used to work with the Victoria Multi-Faith Society with Sheila Flood also here. So I have been very active to work for the community on the religious topics. I always deeply admire the Ahmadiyya Muslim community motto, hatred, hatred for none and love for all. That is what needed. So many fights and war are going all around. And what all we need is love and peace. And somehow, irrespective of boundaries of religions, we should unite and be friends and live under one umbrella. We should learn about it. Actually, in fact, Multi-Faith Summit Council has prepared a booklet which you will get soon, where we have described all the religions definitions, and ultimate goal of all religions is love, kindness, and helping others. And we think that if we part this knowledge to young kids, probably it will go for a long way to build a society and community which is irrespective of religion but based on love and kindness. As a part of Multi-Faith Summit Council, we have been working actively to strengthen interfaith understanding. In 25, last year, Multi-Faith Summit Council and later the Saint Church here, Ted Murray is there, and also Dale Rutten is here, Karen Harper is here. All we organize a spiritual teaching on environmental sustainability. It was very good when we gave an opportunity to interact all the educators and government leaders with the community, which was very successful. And now we are organizing 2 more events on February 16th and also April 19th. We warmly invite everyone to participate and benefit from these meaningful dialogue of events. Every religion launches love, teaches love, kindness, and compassion. If we truly practice these values, our community can unite under one umbrella of humanity and spirituality. Thank you to all organizers and participants. Let's continue to build bridges of peace, understanding, and love. Thank you very much.
I want to make a quick announcement that we have put the steps to my left, so you might have to walk across the stage, but I will request the next person to use the steps to come to the stage rather than try your knees. I will be quick to introduce the next dignitary. I'm hoping that we utilize the time efficiently, and if we can conclude the remarks in 2 minutes, I will really appreciate it. Next dignitary I have here is the chairperson, Victoria Multi-Faith Society, Ms. May Shahada. Please.
Oh, thank you, Ashok, for sharing this historical information about the history of your involvement. I can't see you, but I wanted to thank him for sharing his old stories about being involving in the multi-faith society. Good evening, friends and honored guests. My name is Meishi Hare. I am honored to serve as a chairperson and a board member of Victoria Multi-Faith Society, and to join you tonight as a Sunni Muslim at this World Religious Conference. The mission of Victoria Multi-Faith Society is to foster understanding, respect, and cooperation among people of different faith and worldview through dialogue, education, and community engagement. At this heart, our work is about building bridges of trust and empathy, shared responsibility. This conference, inspired by the United Nations vision since 2010, reminds us that peace is not passive. It requires intention, courage, and collaboration. It calls us to listen deeply, speak honestly, and stand together even when doing so is very difficult. When we gather in a space like this, we come carrying different faiths, traditions, languages, and histories. Yet beneath all of that diversity lies something sacred that unites us, our shared humanity. Across our religions, we are all seeking the same essential things: meaning, dignity, compassion, safety, and peace for ourselves, our families, and our communities. In Quran, we reminded, "O humanity, we created you for nation and tribes, from nations and tribes, so that you may know one another, not to fear one another, and not to divide one another, but to know one another." And today, that work is more urgent than ever. In the recent years, our world has experienced war, displacement, polarizations, and deep division. Communities have been pulled apart, and too often faith has been misunderstood or misused, rather than honored as a source of healing and moral courage. As we listen tonight to speakers sharing their faith through their own lens, may we listen with open hearts. May we look not for what separates us, but for what connects us. And together, may we recommit to build the bridges that lead us back to peace for all of us. Thank you very much for being here today, and welcome everyone.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to request Mr. Ted Murray, President Anderson's First, to come to the stage and share his thoughts.
Thank you. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, friends, and conference participants. It is an honor to welcome you to the World Religions Conference here in Victoria. This conference marks the 20th anniversary of this Victoria chapter. Well done. I express sincere appreciation to the gracious hosts, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, whose tradition of love for all, hatred for none, embodies the very theme of this conference, building bridges. I thank the co-sponsors, Victoria Multi-Faith Society and the Multi-Faith Summit Council of BC, whose leadership continues to inspire collaboration and dialogue. Your efforts make this important conversation today possible. In recent weeks, the Canadians have engaged in heartfelt conversation about Bill C-9 and the vital balance between protecting against hate and preserving freedom of faith and conscience. The Canada Area Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints recently reminded us that these discussions, while complex, reveal something important about who we are as a nation. People who care deeply about both safety and freedom, about protecting others while ensuring space for sincere belief. With this desire and commitment, they recently submitted 2 recommendations to the Canadian federal lawmakers, stating, we respectfully urge lawmakers to 1, retain the religious speech defense, or 2, add clear language affirming that nothing in the law should be interpreted to infringe upon charter-protected freedoms of expression and religion done in good faith. That balance between protection against hate and ensuring religious freedom is what gatherings like this are all about. Building bridges means choosing dialogue over division, empathy over fear, and shared hope over isolation. When we listen respectfully and celebrate the good we each bring to society, we strengthen the moral fabric that holds us together. May this conference inspire understanding across all faiths with a renewed courage to stand for freedom of expression, sincerity, respect, and kindness. As we build bridges of respect, we demonstrate that faith, in all its diverse expressions, exemplifies and becomes forces for peace.
Thank you. Next, I will be requesting Deputy Mayor of District of Saanich, Councillor Karen Harper, to share her thoughts with the audience.
I must say I didn't expect to have my name mentioned so many times before I actually got to the microphone. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to the organizers and to everyone who's here. This is the 8th time that I've actually been at this gathering, and it's one that I hold quite near and dear. And first of all, although I see he snuck away, I wanted to say thank you to Peyton for the blessing and for adding in, because I know perhaps better than everyone else up here that we also have the Wasanich Nation to recognize as well. The theme of tonight's session is one that's near and dear to my heart, because every time I've been here, I have come to the conclusion that as we listen to all of the representatives to all the faiths that are in front of us, that we have so much more in common with one another than we have differences. And so the theme of building bridges is particularly not just apt, but necessary in today's world, where we've heard from a lot of speakers already about why that is so. And so I would like to actually read to you what we say every council meeting, which is essentially about building bridges as well, which is that we are committed to celebrating the rich diversity of people in our community. We are guided by the principle that embracing diversity enriches the lives of all people. We all share the responsibility for creating an equitable and inclusive community and for addressing discrimination in all forms. And this type of gathering does exactly those things. It gives me hope when I come to these sessions because of the messages of inclusivity and kindness that is always delivered. So on behalf of the District of Saanich, I trust that we will in fact be building many bridges here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Next, we move on to the next section or the segment of the program. I'm gonna be introducing our moderator for tonight's program. Mr. Adam Olson is a former politician who was elected for the Legislative Assembly in the year 2017. He represented the electoral district of Saanich North and the Highlands as a member of the Green Party of British Columbia caucus in 2024. Olson was born and raised in Salt Lake First Nation in Brentwood Bay and is a member of the Salt Lake First Nation. Adam Olson's family is deeply rooted in the Swanage territory, where he and his wife Emily are raising 2 kids, Celeste and Ella. I will hand over the podium and the program to Mr. Adam Olson. Thank you very much.
It's great to see him. It's a hanaptana today, just lacing at the Kuseda, jail of the lungs. Sewi Sutan May, Sylvia Olson, Tanatain, Tiquat Talquilam, Tanasalsitla, Don and Phyllis Snoblin, Tanasalsitla. My name's Adam Olson. My family gave me the name Sahana, the name that's been in this territory for many, many generations. Came from my late great uncle, and my father's name is Carl Olson. Salisu is the name his family gave him. Sylvia is my mother, and I introduced my connection to this place through Tiquat and Telquilam, which Telquilam is the way that Peyton and Karen and I are connected as well. So lots of family connections in this beautiful territory, and it's wonderful to be here with you this evening and to steward us through the speakers, which is the only thing that's standing between us and food. So we all share meals together. It doesn't matter where you're from in the world. It's the basis of human culture from around the world is to share a meal together. So we look forward to the remarks from our speakers, and as well for the ability to share a meal with each other. Just want to share a little something before we get started, and that is a story that I had of sitting with my grandmother Tiquat in her home. I was struggling with my identity, struggling with my mixed heritage growing up, and she reminded me that the unique background that I had, a mixed heritage of European and Indigenous ancestry, was a strength, even though it felt at that time like it was less than a benefit, let's just put it that way. That I was confused by that. And she invited me to, just as the title of these presentations this evening is, to be the bridge between two communities. See, because I can't make any sense of myself when my parts are divided, when my pieces are at odds with each other, when the cultures, the beautiful cultures that I come from, are fighting with each other and not in equilibrium and working together with each other. And she invited me to be the powerful force that brought people together and really sent me on the path to allow my resume to sound something like what was introduced. So I look forward today to being a part of that solution, to bringing people together, to finding ways to heal the divisions in our world, and to be guided by the ancient teachings that we're going to hear about, the teachings that have been the wisdom of people from all around the world for many, many hundreds of years. So without any further ado, just some basic housekeeping. We've been asked to keep the speeches to 10 minutes. I successfully navigated that, so that was good. Also, we've asked the speakers to speak from the topic of their religion's perspectives, philosophical and religious traditions, to not make any comparisons with the other faiths, and only to speak from the reference to their own faiths, and also to be present through the entire conference to hear each other. And those are just the basic frame with which we're all going to operate in from this evening. We've got 10 minutes. To the speakers, when you hear me tap my hand on the table, then you know that you've got about a minute left. And if you could just start to wrap up from there. The first speaker this evening will be Gita Badian. Gita is a third-generation Baha'i who was born in Iran and immigrated to Canada at the age of 12. She served on various Baha'i administrative institutions in Canada, Papua New Guinea, and Colombia. Over the past 25 years, Gita has collaborated with organizations committed to values-driven leadership as a management consultant, helping professionals make the leap to leadership as service. Please welcome Gita.
Thank you, Alan. Or Adam. My apologies. Are you happy to be part of this 20th World Religion Conference here in Victoria? Yes? Lovely being here. Dear friends, I'd like to ask that you consider, just for a moment, some of the rituals and symbols of your tradition, your faith. And think of what they are. What could they be? Those symbols, those rituals, those traditions. Perhaps the practice of pilgrimage, or Shabbat, baptism, communion. Any of those ring a bell? Yeah? The practice of hijab, kippah, kesh, kirpan, diet that is halal or kosher, different kinds of festivals. I can go on and on. And of course, so many practices and traditions that we all have and we all cherish. Now, I want you to imagine, just for a moment again, that those symbols and those traditions, those rituals are just stripped away, completely stripped away, disappeared into nowhere, into space. If we remove all of those, what are we left with? What are we really left with once those are stripped away? Most likely, what remains is a single ultimate reality, a reality that transcends physical form. Once we go beyond the form, we can more clearly discern the essence, the heart, the core of religious truth and what keeps it alive. Meaning, transcendence, that mystical union with the sacred. Isn't that what remains? Values of love, justice, equality, sanctity, awe, hope, and honor. Every single faith represented right here in this room recognizes these truths. Why is that? Well, I think because that is the language of the divine. This principle is a central heartbeat of the Baha'i perspective, that religions are not separate islands, nor are they fortified castles. They are rather like a single, unfolding book. And all major world religions like chapters of that same book. They come from the same author and originate from the same divine source. No chapter is preferable, and no divine educator is superior to another. The light that guided Abraham is the same light that shone through Krishna, Buddha, Zoroaster. It's the same light that shone through Moses, Christ, Muhammad, and Baha'u'llah. So the paths are many, but the summit is one. When we really think about it, through these shared spiritual teachings that we've all inherited, the bridge is already there. The bridge is already built. It's already engraved in our spiritual DNA, so to speak. So our job isn't really to build the bridge. It's rather to clear away the debris. The debris of what? The debris of prejudice, so that we can walk that bridge together. In an era of hyper-fragmentation, discrimination, prejudice, the greatest barrier to walking that bridge is a sort of identity that is rooted in separation or in superiority. When a person's religious identity is that they and only they possess the only truth, it creates a thick wall, certainly not a bridge. Such us versus them mentality is a byproduct of a stage of humanity that hasn't reached full maturity yet, a stage that we as humanity need to outgrow. The Baha'i vision invites us all to become citizens of one world. That doesn't mean giving up who we are, but simply that we expand the circle of us so that there is no them. The Baha'i vision challenges us to see the earth as one country and mankind as its citizens. The Baha'i vision challenges us to consort with followers of all religions in a spirit of friendliness and fellowship. This is a central Baha'i teaching. It's not a suggestion, it's a spiritual mandate and certainly a prerequisite for a peaceful world. Dear friends, the bridge between our faith groups isn't made of concrete or steel. It's made of friendship and meaningful connections. It's made of conversations, moments when we choose curiosity over judgment, listening over refuting, and being transformed by the beauty of another's devotion. Let me conclude with this beautiful Baha'i prayer. O thou kind Lord, thou hast created all humanity from the same stock. Thou hast decreed that all shall belong to the same household. O God, let the religions agree and make the nations one. Let them see each other as one family and the whole earth as one home.
Beautiful, thank you. The next speaker this afternoon is Father Alan Dirksen. Father Alan has served the parish of St. Matthew since 2011. Over the years, he served in several dioceses in Western Canada and in multiple parishes. He loves a conversation and will welcome a phone call or an email, better yet, a chat in his study or at a local coffee shop. His passion is the development of spiritual community around the mystery of God as expressed in the best of the great tradition and the ongoing development of human knowledge. He's found the Anglican expression of Christianity community particularly conducive to his passion. Father Dixon.
Thank you, Adam, and respected presenters and all of you. It's good to be with you. Unfortunately, we somehow got our wires crossed on the info. I've been here in Victoria for the last 3 years. St. Matt's was my Abbotsford parish. I'm at St. Philip Oak Bay now, so it's great to be here on the island. So, how faith can build bridges with community, I'm taking that as a question. And I think it's fair to say that many Canadians might say that faith can't build bridges with communities. They might say faith is a weird leftover from a pre-scientific understanding of the world. Even for many Canadians who grew up religious, faith is seen as something mysterious, something not really related to normal living. As a result, faith communities and religions as a whole are often seen more as silos, cut off from the public commons. Even worse, our different faiths have not appeared to others as merely mysterious. They've acted more like the old man in the bridge scene in Monty Python's The Search for the Holy Grail. If you've not seen it, that's what YouTube is for. People approach the bridge, and after answering a couple of questions quite easily, the knight gets he gets a little lackadaisical and thinks, this is easy. I'll get across the bridge. The bridge keeper asks some ridiculously esoteric question. The traveler gets it wrong and then is cast into the gorge of eternal peril. We don't build bridges, it would seem to many people. We build moats. And if people with different perspectives, different faiths, or with suspicions challenge us, we toss them to the crocodiles. Now, that's the no before the yes. It's not the whole story. And it's our call here today to shine a different light. Even if we come to this gathering not as pluralists, but as exclusivists, believing our faith to be the arbiter of truth, we cannot ignore this existential moment. Our global community is living on a razor's edge, the very idea of home, threatened by actors who seem not to care a whit if our world burns. So we act together or we die together. And I think it's precisely faith that allows us to act together, to build the bridges that call us to come together, even with our different religious outlooks and cultures. The spectacular science of evolutionary biology can tell us what our religious myths have offered to us as stories. We really do all come from the same stock, the same genetic Adam and Eve. But this fact doesn't help us live together. However beautiful this knowledge is, and I think it's amazing, it still leaves us alone in this universe, just a freak result of a genetic mutation. Faith provides us what science can't. It allows us to ground our actions in a larger moral existential vision. We're not alone in the universe, we believe. Faith can give us the intellectual, moral, and spiritual courage to resist injustice and to create communities where service, love, and creativity express that we are all created in the image of God, charged with the grand vision of caring for this earth. When we trust that we are not alone among the stars, that God is with us, we have the passion to do the quiet, mostly unseen work of bridge building. Then we have the commitment to persevere in loving those around us. For isn't love the ultimate bridge builder? For their sake, for the sake of our children, and for those who come after us. From the Christian perspective, we have to say with some irony that, as scholars remind us, the historical Jesus didn't come to start a new religion, but to build bridges to those who were being marginalized within Israel, and to trust that somehow the promise made to Abraham and Sarah that through them all the families of the earth would be blessed was coming to fulfillment. When Christians say they follow the teachings and example of Jesus, I think it's a good test. Who feels included that wasn't previously? Who has actually benefited from the life and work of those who say they have faith? It seems kind of a Captain Obvious thing to say, but the Ahmadiyya community who host this conference put their money where their mouth is. They work hard at building bridges in which we can listen to each other, and they do provide delicious food. And maybe, food is the ultimate expression of love, as we've probably already heard. Thanks for your efforts. Food is actually one of the things that can build bridges to our wider communities. Across many of our faiths, there are groups of people here, represented here today, who are feeding people, often the neediest people in our society. Without their service, our society would be immeasurably poorer in both material and spiritual ways. To continue in this practical vein, we need to work at utilizing our buildings for the sake of all kinds of groups in our culture and society. And I know that many Anglican churches are using their buildings as informal drop-in sites for all kinds of self-help groups, cooking classes, anger management courses, board game nights, and even karaoke. Faith can also build bridges to the wider community when we work together to repair historical wrongs done to our First Nations. It's becoming increasingly clear that there's an international oligarchy of billionaires who benefit by keeping us in our silos, who try to blow up our relational bridges while addicting us to algorithms that enslave us to their greed. We need to use the courage provided for us by those who have gone before us and by the moral framework provided by our teaching to respectfully say no to their mind control. We can build a bridge for our next generation by insisting our governments do more to protect our children and youth from the toxic effects of social media and from the insane belief that somehow AI will connect us better than just being together. Never has the need for bridges of understanding, for moral courage, for hope and love been so important and urgent. Unless people of faith build bridges to our wider communities, who will? This is our sacred calling. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Dirksen. Important call. Okay, the next speaker this evening is Maulana Farhan Iqbal. I think I got that right, sorry if I didn't. Farhan Iqbal is a missionary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. He's received his degree in Islamic theology and comparative religions in July 2010 from the Ahmadiyya Institute of Islamic Studies. He also has a master's degree in religious studies from the University of Ottawa and is currently pursuing a PhD in religious studies. He served as a missionary in Ghana, United States, and Canada. He's represented the community in various interfaith events, as well as radio programs and podcasts, and runs a YouTube channel, Understanding Islam. He's co-authored several books, including Understanding Islam, Dispelling Myths About Jihad, Oppression, and Violence in Islam, and Rise, Transform, Succeed, Habits for Muslim Youth.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, gracious, the merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace and blessings of God be upon all of you. We're talking about building bridges, and as Gita was talking about how these are not bridges of concrete or steel, these are bridges of love, bridges of words, bridges of understanding. And when thinking about this, I recall an incident that took place during the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him, the founder of Islam. At one occasion, a Christian delegation from a place called Najran came to discuss faith with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So the conversation got a bit long. They had their discussions, they had their disagreements. But eventually a time for prayer for the Christian group came. And the Christians wanted to have a space to perform their worship. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he said, well, you can do it right here in the mosque, right? He said that this is a place consecrated to God, and you can conduct your service right here in the mosque. And I believe that that is the occasion where Prophet Muhammad was not just talking about bridges, he was becoming a bridge himself by offering a space for Christians to have their liturgy, to have their worship, right in his own mosque. And we're talking about the Prophet's mosque, which is the second most sacred space in the religion of Islam. We're talking about the Mosque of Medina, which is after the Kaaba, it's the most sacred space for Muslims. Unfortunately, from time to time, being a Muslim, we get asked a lot about certain behaviors, certain actions that Muslims do. Unfortunately, they give a bad name to the religion of Islam, when the fact is that the word Islam itself in Arabic means peace. As Ahmadi Muslims, we find it absurd that our religion can be hijacked in this way. We are Muslims who believe in the Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, peace be upon him, who was the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and he taught us to propagate the real, peaceful teachings of Islam that are based on the Quran and the statements and the model of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The Prophet Muhammad is given a title in the Quran in this verse where God says, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. This is Arabic, means that we have not sent you but as a mercy for the worlds. Following this example of our Prophet, we strive to show mercy. We strive to become the embodiment of mercy for all peoples. And based on the same principles we have in the Quran, La ikraha fid din. There is no compulsion in religion. There should never be any compulsion in religious matters. It's a matter of faith between a person and his God, or whatever his belief system is. The Quran even tells the Muslims to say those who do not agree with them, to say, Lakum dinukum waliya din, which is Arabic for you, your religion, your faith, your belief system. For me, it's my religion, it's my belief system. At the same time, the Quran encourages interfaith dialogue, and that's what we're doing here. This is what we're trying to act out the teachings of the Quran. The Quran says, and this is the verse that was recited at the beginning of this program, where God says, say, O people of the book, come to a word equal between us and you, that we worship none but Allah, and that we associate no partner with Him, and that some of us take not others for lords beside Allah. So this interfaith program that you are joining us today, it's been going on for 20 years. We have so many other interfaith programs across the country where we try to talk about our faith. We try to bring people of different faiths together so that we can discuss our commonalities. The founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community said something very powerful, and I often quote this whenever I get a chance to speak at such a conference. He says, it is our principle to have sympathy for the whole of humankind. If a person sees that fire has broken out in the house of a Hindu neighbor and he does not get up to help put it out, I tell you truly that he is not of me. If one of my followers sees a Christian being killed and he does not go to rescue him, I tell you truly that he is not of us. I say it on oath and in truth that I have no enmity with any people. If anyone abuses me, I refer my plaint to God and not to any other court. Despite all this, it is our obligation to have sympathy with the whole of mankind. So in light of these teachings, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is always striving to serve others, to help people of all faiths. We have an independent organization called Humanity First that serves people of all faiths. We have a scheme that is called the Nusrat Jahan scheme, and we have built hundreds of schools and hospitals in several countries in Africa. And so we're trying to follow in the footsteps of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And in the Holy Quran, God is also described as Rabbul Alameen, which means He's the Lord of all the worlds, Lord of all peoples, of all faiths, of all backgrounds. And we also believe, this is part of our belief system, that prophets and messengers have come to every nation on earth, and all of our teachings are ultimately from God. The only thing that distinguishes us is our God consciousness, it's our righteousness, it's our morality, and how good we are with others. The Quran says, O mankind, we have created you from a male and a female, and we have made you into tribes and sub-tribes, that you may recognize one another. Verily, the most honorable among you in the sight of God is he who is the most righteous among you. At the occasion of the farewell sermon, I'll just mention this at the end now. At the occasion of the farewell sermon, there's something called the farewell sermon. It's the last official sermon that Prophet Muhammad gave. He said, all of you are equal. He said that an Arab is not superior to a non-Arab, nor is a non-Arab superior to an Arab. He said that a white person is not superior to a black person, and a black person is not superior to a white person. In light of these teachings, the motto of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community is love for all, hatred for none. Thank you.
Indeed, all important ingredients into this beautiful recipe of humanity, that this mosaic of humanity across the world. And it's wonderful to hear so many similar words being spoken so far. The next speaker is Mr. Gurdeep Singh. Gurdeep comes from a diversified background. He was born in Kenya and moved to London at an early age. He received a religious schooling while being associated with the temple and many sages. He has been a prominent part of the Sikh community, and has been also been religiously and politically active in London before moving to Victoria 9 years ago. Gurdeep has traveled well to 5 continents, and his experiences allowed him to be open-minded and a free thinker. Please welcome Gurdeep.
If I may ask, let us all rise in the praise of the Supreme Lord and be thankful that we are here today. Let's put the smiles on our face. We came here in the name of God. If it is God that we are going to talk about, and if it is a God that we wanted to reside in our mind and hearts, you should be happy. Smiles, please. I wanted you. Thank you very much. As I see a very older generation sitting here, very few young people, I wanted to wake you up. In the name of God. My fellow speakers, I then thank my First Nations here and their community for putting up all this for us. First of all, the congregation for you to come and listen to all of us. And my fellow speakers here. Talking about bridges, this whole summarization, if I try to summarize it, we can complete it in under 15 seconds. How can I do that? All I have to give you is a numeral, and that is 1. And I want you to go back home, dwell on that oneness, what it can, the vacuum, the power the one can bring within you, and how you individually, if you take a pyramid, you have multi-million at the bottom, but at the top there's only 1. Then you can call it a pyramid. In the name of Guru Nanak, the embodiment of Guru Granth Sahib is of 1430 pages on, and it starts with a numerical 1. Let us come to that oneness and understand what that oneness is all about. Do we really need the bridges? And I was thinking of building a bridge from Victoria to Vancouver. How simple would that be? Wow, I hear a lot of laughter. Building a bridge going to God, how difficult is that going to be? There is no need. Why? In the name of Nankian philosophy, a man asked, Lord, I want to serve you. No, you cannot serve me. How can I serve you then? I reside what I have created. The creation is mine, and you serve the creation, you will be serving me, said the Lord. And then Farid writes, Rida Khalik Khalq mein Khalq vasai Rabb mahi. The God resides in his creation. Now what happened after he created this? I'm sure he sent a lot of messengers, prophets, gurus, etc. to give us the pathway, to tell us what this is all about. Then what happened? Now we are talking bridges. If he built a single land, a single creation, where do we need to build a bridge to go from to where? We don't need a bridge. What God has created is a mechanism that you see in the universe is within you. You hold the 2 sides of the coin, and the 2 sides of the coin is the darkness and the light. Whichever one you choose is your part. We talk about religion by building these bridges, by doing so-called rituals and, in a classification, doing seva, being stewards. offerings, serving food. All that is good. If you don't reach the mind and heart of the human, where the God resides, you're nothing but destructive. I want you to listen to what I just said. The God built a temple. But before I say that, where he built a temple, I want every one of you to understand one simple thing. Every one of you individually, how unique you are. And I give you that challenge to justify how unique you are, because I know you will not find the other. You can travel the whole of this universe, you will not find the other. You are it, and it is he who created it. And if you are so unique and you are an integral part of him, then he gave you those virtues. This is what I had. You want to come into my home, you'll have to have these virtues. And those are the very virtues that you need. When we talk about being a steward, doing the seva, serving people, there are three kinds of seva: tan, man, dhan. You can do it physically, you can build things mentally. God can give you the prosperity, and you can use those funds, which are not going to go with you in the coffin. So can you utilize it for your brotherhood and your sisterhood. But we are not going to, because within me, that dark side called selfishness says, I better get some more. I just created a million, I need to go target 2 million. And the 2 million never comes. He gathers 2 millions. When he dies, he sees everything's going to be left here. And those that he loved are gawking at him while he's dying, and he's thinking, they're going to take it all away. And they're going to blow it. Wow, all that effort that I put, for what? So I'm going to share something with you. Be conscious about yourself. World will exist till you exist. This world is about you as an individual. The day you are gone, the world will remain, but you won't be here. And this is what we need to realize, what the Lord gave us. What he gave me, am I thankful for what he gave me? Did I recite his name? Or do I only remember my dearest and nearest? And when the time of hardship came, I took the rosary and started reciting his name. Then he says, my son, it is never too late. It takes a nanosecond to come to my house. But for you to come to my house, you have to have a pure heart, a pure mind. That's why we need the bridges. We don't have the pure heart. We don't have the pure mind. Majority of religions, when they were born, if you look at it, once I asked my friend, he was a Jew, 80-year-old, very learned, very laureate from Russia. I asked him a question. Are you a Jew of the Torah, or are you a Jew of a rabbi? I'm not picking on any denomination. You can change the scenario to any rabbi or mullah or gyani or whoever you want to, or a pandit. But the question rises the same. The minute you go into the interpretations of it, the humans start bastardizing it. Sorry to say that. I'll be very blunt. I'm always very blunt. I'm not going to give a lipstick conversation here. God is nothing but ultimate truth. If there is a nano bit missing in the truth, it is not a complete truth. It is not godly truth. I've got 1 minute left. He's knocking on my door. So, the complete truth to be realized and to be understood, this is what is written in the Guru Granth Sahib. You know what you're doing. Man janat sabbat. You know it. And knowingly, you're doing wrong. You don't need any advocates, any teachings. The schools that are built in you by Himself, the Lord, you need to use those two schools. They are within you and utilize them, and they tell you what you are doing right, what you're doing wrong. Let us be one. Let us not divide each other. It is hatred that I carry within myself which breeds disease within me, not outside me. And I'll be the one who will end up suffering with it. Within 10 minutes, we can learn a lot. A lot has been said and we are just multiplying it. But I want you to go home today. As an individuals, I want you to think, what did I do? Before I leave this planet, my Lord came to me from different angles, from different denominations. Religion is not relevant here. There is only one religion. If God is the creator of all the religions, how did we divide us and them? You're different, I'm different. Why? Your color is different, my color is different, your language is different, my language is. Why? That is where human fall is. Don't fall into that well. You shall never be able to rise yourself out of it again. Rise with your mind and spirit and go home and think once again, what did I take with me? My assets, my wealth, nothing is going to go with me. My goodness, that's going to go with me. I'm going to summarize before Adam just gets up and says, I'm going to shut your speaking off. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. Why did we talk about sir?
In the oneness of things, I am short, so Gurdeep can be tall. Encompasses all of the heights that you need to be. Thank you for your wise words. And the next speaker that will be joining us this evening is Mr. Graham Sanderson. Graham has served the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints since 1974 in various roles, including the ecclesiastical leader for a number of congregations, teacher and youth leader. He serves in the Vancouver, BC Temple and has recently been called to serve as spokesperson for the future Victoria, BC Temple. Please welcome Mr. Graham Sanderson.
Good evening. To start, I want to acknowledge and thank the organizers, my fellow speakers, and all who have chosen to be here this evening for their commitment to striving for a positive path forward. A couple of the things that have resonated with me, the thought, a resilient society. It's worth pondering. What is a resilient society? I'm going to take that away. The other was to be curious. I think that will be a thread that will go through my comments now. As was indicated, I'm here speaking Christianity on behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Our key books of scriptures are the Bible, both Old and New Testaments, and the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ. As I prepared my remarks for this evening, I reminded myself that there is significant common ground among our collective religious traditions that come together here this evening. We strive toward good works, charity, service, love for all of humanity. As our late church president, Gordon B. Hinckley, has said, we must reach out to all mankind. They are all sons and daughters of God, our eternal Father, and he will hold us accountable for what we do concerning them. May we bless humanity with an outreach to all, lifting those who are downtrodden and depressed, feeding and clothing the hungry and the needy, and extending love and neighborliness to those about us. We just shortly, or very quickly, review the theme and the guiding question for this conference. Building bridges has been mentioned. And building bridges stands as a powerful approach to fostering encouragement, unity, and hope. Think about that in the world that we live in today. How valuable is encouragement, unity, and hope? This theme invites participants, all of us here this evening, to reflect on how faith traditions can serve as common ground for mutual understanding, compassion, and collaboration. We believe this theme will spark, this is again the sponsors of this conference, we believe this theme will spark meaningful dialogue. To me, that's the be curious part. Inspire collective action, that means working together, and highlight the shared values that can bridge divides across diverse communities. We have to recognize that there is diversity in the world we live in. I am of the firm opinion that we, all of the good people that are here this evening, have individual stewardship to act upon this invitation to build bridges. The principles of religion, offering guidance, strength, and comfort to individuals, also provide the foundational values needed by those entrusted with leading, presiding, and governing at all levels of society. As people of faith, we have a collective responsibility to use the structural elements of our beliefs to build bridges, not only among ourselves, but across every part of the communities, countries, and worlds in which we live. So let me pose the following question to each of us, good people gathered here this evening with common purpose. If we are to build bridges of faith, to bridge divides across diverse communities, doesn't it make sense that we need to strive to understand each other first? I think an appropriate starting place for my comments is a quote from a book by Stephen R. Covey, who, by the way, was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In his best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he introduced the principle, seek first to understand, then to be understood. This emphasizes what he terms emphatic listening, truly hearing and comprehending someone's perspective before sharing your own. To build trust, resolve conflicts, and foster deeper connections. A shift from the common tendency to listen with the intent to reply. It's about creating an environment for mutual respect where both parties feel heard and valued. It's about listening with the intent to understand the other person's feelings and frame of reference, not just their words. In a similar vein, Dallin H. Oaks, current prophet and president of our church, has stated, on contested issues, we need to moderate and unify, implying that we should not intensify and polarize. This principle, moderate and unify, has become a go-to for my wife and for me, when we might be confronted with potentially contentious situations in any aspect of our lives. Both of the aforementioned quotes have a foundation in Scripture from the Gospel of James in the New Testament, which reads, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God." Our late church president, Russell M. Nelson, gave an address titled Peacemakers Needed. I think his remarks are very relevant to the goals of this conference. He said, civility and decency seem to have disappeared during this era of polarization and passionate disagreements. So many people seem to believe that it is completely acceptable to condemn, malign, and vilify anyone who does not agree with them. Anger never persuades, hostility builds no one, contention never leads to inspired solutions. The Savior's message is clear. His true disciples build, lift, encourage, persuade, and inspire, no matter how difficult the situation. True disciples of Jesus Christ are peacemakers. Jesus Christ declared that those who have the spirit of contention are not of him. How we treat each other really matters. How we speak to and about others at home, at church, at work, and online really matters. Contention reinforces the false notion that confrontation is the way to resolve differences, but it never is. We can literally change the world one person and one interaction at a time by modeling how to manage honest differences of opinion with mutual respect and dignified dialogue. Differences of opinion are part of life. Again, quoting President Nelson, charity propels us to bear one another's burdens rather than heap burdens upon each other. As stated in Scripture, charity is the pure love of Christ. God has invited us all to come unto him. There is room for everyone. However, there is no room for prejudice, condemnation, or contention of any kind. That is the end of President Nelson's remarks. As mentioned earlier, within the last couple of weeks, our church leadership here in Canada has released the following statement on the importance of religion and the associated freedom. In the statement, the importance of creating a space within our diverse society for dialogue rather than division is emphasized. Here's an excerpt from that statement. Quote, in this moment, we reaffirm the principles of freedom of conscience and religion that allows individuals to live openly and responsibly according to their deepest convictions. In a diverse society, reasonable people will disagree. Preserving peace and freedom requires mutual accommodation and respect. Recognizing space for others to live according to their beliefs, even when those beliefs differ from our own, is not a moral failure. It is a civic virtue that sustains democracy and pluralism. We must cultivate the ability to disagree respectfully without resorting to violence. Peace is preserved through the responsible exercise of freedom. No freedom, including religious freedom, is absolute. It must be exercised with restraint and reciprocity. We invite all Canadians of goodwill to uphold respect for freedom of conscience and its related freedoms of religion and belief. In a diverse society, these principles create space for dialogue rather than division. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints affirm their commitment to live by the teachings of Jesus Christ and to follow his example as a model for peacekeeping. In conclusion, I extend the invitation to each person here in attendance this evening, including me, to strive consistently to apply two principles shared earlier in my remarks. We need to seek first to understand, then to be understood. And on contested issues, we need to moderate and unify. I hope that each of us will look deeply into our own hearts to see if there are shards of pride, jealousy, preconceptions, or prejudice that might inhibit our efforts to build bridges of faith. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity to be here this evening to share in this conversation. Thank you.
I was reminded of the teaching that I heard of 2 ears and 1 mouth. I was told that a few times in my life. The next speaker this evening is Rabbi Elisha Herb. Rabbi Eli brings brings to Congregation Emmanuel a deep passion for Jewish learning, spiritual practice, and community building. Who's guided congregations through meaningful ritual, thoughtful teaching, and compassionate pastoral care. Rabbi Eli is committed to conservative stream Jewish values and to practicing and teaching halakha in ways that honor tradition while speaking to the needs of today's Jewish community. He's especially devoted to promoting inclusivity, interfaith dialogue, and social justice while nurturing a sense of connection to the Jewish tradition and creativity. Rabbi Eli.
Good afternoon. With some apology, I want to say I'm from that dark and scary basement down there called the States. I just moved here 4 months ago, so I'm very new to Victoria and very happy to be here. I wanted to start off by saying that I can speak from within the lineage of Judaism that I have inherited. Be very hard for me to speak to the whole tradition. I'm going to start by saying that I think today with the message I want to share with you comes from the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis, and it is when God creates the human being. God says something very strange there. He says, "Na'aseh et Adam." Let us make the human being. And the question that has been asked in my tradition for thousands of years is, who is this us? Who is God speaking to? So we know there are angels, we know this, but who is God speaking to? Then he says, let us make humankind in our image and our likeness. Who is he speaking to? One of the answers that the tradition gives is that God is speaking to the rest of creation. Human beings are, in a sense, the last creation created on the evening of the 6th day, we say. And so all of creation had already come into existence, including all the supernal beings. So it was the whole collaborative project of creation that created the human being. And when the human being is created, they are called a nefesh chaya, a living soul. We are made, each human being is made in the image of God. B'Tselem Elohim. What does that mean? For our tradition, for the Jewish tradition, because we very firmly believe that God has no body and no likeness whatsoever to a human being, has to be something other than what God looks like. It's not about what God looks like. What it means, though, is fundamentally, one of the things that it means fundamentally is that everyone in this room, everyone on earth, without exception, there is no exception, is a fractal image of God. We are what our tradition calls an olam katan. We are a microcosm. Each one of us is a microcosm of the entire universe. From this, we know that each person, each human being, without exception, has dignity. Dignity is inherent. When we take that very seriously, then I look out at the room and I see 150 universes. 150 universes. If I were to look into any one of your eyes for more than a few seconds and you into mine, we would see the beginnings of an expanse we can't even grasp. Each person is a universe, an olam katan. When we then encounter difference or harshness or painful difference between us and another person, the teaching goes that we are not allowed to judge them until we find in ourselves the exact same capacity in that other person or potential in that other person that is bothering us. That exact quality exists within us. And if we deny that reality, we are not only denying the humanity and the godliness and the holiness of the other person, we are denying the humanity and the godliness of ourselves. So this is an aspiration. It is a contemplative practice. Every day when I pray, I begin by saying, "Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," you shall love your fellow human being as yourself, as yourself. Literally it means, very literally it means, you shall love the other. They are you. They are like you. Not as yourself. That would be a different word in Hebrew, actually. Kamocha means they are like you. The minute we start saying, I don't have that, I would never do that, I'm better than that, you are denying something about your humanity, you're denying something about God, you're denying something about the other person. So I say this as an aspiration and a contemplative practice because I mess this up all the time. And as a human being, I mess this up all the time. We all mess this up all the time. And that's why we also say that teshuvah, the potential to return, to the path is wired into the universe. Our tradition says that the path of repair, of teshuvah, was created before the world was even created. It's wired into existence. So when we fall off the derech, as we say, we fall off the path, we can come back onto the path by doing this repair, Part of the repair, a key part of the repair, is remembering that the person in front of you or the people in front of you are all microcosms. Every single person is a whole universe. When I take that seriously, then I can find in myself the resonance with the other person, and we can then find repair. I wanted to share too basic ethic that I try to live into every day, which is that in Hebrew we call God Elohim Hayim, which is translated in English as the living God. I don't know about you, but if those of you have heard that phrase over and over again, I spent many years wondering, what the heck does that mean? The living God, the living God. If we all exist within God, if God surrounds all worlds and permeates all worlds, what does that mean? What's the living God? But in Hebrew, you have to understand that phrase is not translatable. It means the life God. It means, it's not an adjective, it's an adverb. It's a God that is the action of life. It is the God that is present right now in this room, in this moment, living in each one of you, in me, in each one of our holy speakers. Right now, all of this is Elohim Hayim. The basic ethic in my tradition, whether, just like we are human beings, we have failed many times to live up to this teaching, but the basic teaching is that our tradition is that we are to create and maintain and sustain those things that nurture and sustain life, and we are to avoid, to the extent that it is possible, we are to avoid that which causes stupid death. What I mean by that is pointless, cruel suffering. That's the purpose. That's the purpose of all the laws of the Torah. It is the purpose of all of the laws as we live now. And because we are human beings, sometimes our laws work that way and sometimes we don't. They don't. Because life changes and because we worship the living God, Elohim Hayim, we know that we have to keep changing. We have to keep looking. We have to keep seeking those factors that nurture and sustain life. And I want to just close by saying that besides my own tradition, I have learned so much from other traditions about what those conditions are. The amount that I have learned from Islam, from Christianity, from indigenous traditions, from Buddhism. I have learned so much about my own tradition, and I have learned so much about what are the conditions that foster life and which are committed to avoiding any conditions that take away life without any reason, without just cruelty and apathy. There is a blessing, I'll close, that is a blessing that says that we say this after we eat certain foods, and it says, blessed are you, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, blessed are you, Hashem, the sovereign of the entire universe, Barei nefashot, who has created souls, the chesronan, and all of their lacking, the hachayot bahem, in order to enliven them. That we bless God for the pieces we're missing, or the pieces we're missing as human beings, and for the ability to look for the ways to fill that lack in order to give them life. So, thank you.
Thank you. We have two more presenters this evening, and I hope that you are enjoying and it's as enriching for you as it has been for me to listen to the speakers so far. I'd like to welcome Annalie Dreesen to be the next speaker. In 2009, Annalie founded the International Metaphysical Academy in Canada, where individuals acquire new metaphysical knowledge and tools to expand their consciousness and live in a good and honorable life. Emphasis is on critical thinking, personal responsibility, and love. She created a comprehensive metaphysical educational program with 360 hours of content for leaders from all walks of life to provide them with the powerful tools for positive changes in their organizations, their shareholders, and their communities. Please welcome Annalie to the stage.
Thank you, sir. And before I start, I just want to say I am so impressed by today's presentations. It's just absolutely incredible. I have never felt what I felt today about the community and the love and the sincerity and all of those good things that everyone is sharing. So I just feel so privileged to be part of you guys. Last October, I had the privilege of spending 5 days with Professor Dr. Peter Antes, Professor Emeritus at the University of Hannover in Germany, a well-known international expert on comparative religions and Islamic studies, and scholar who taught worldwide. He arranged a private tour of the House of Religions in Hanover for me, during which I had the opportunity to learn more about the history, teachings, rituals, forms of worship, and cultures of the various world religions. It was very humbling and eye-opening, as there is so much to know, especially about how religions are culturally embedded and have historically developed over the years. There is a tendency to say that all religions basically say the same thing, but that is not so. There are major differences, sometimes even conflicting or contradictory. However, if we enter interreligious dialogue and learn more about each other's culture, we begin to understand its deeper teachings. What we will find are more and more similarities. And often, we may discover we share exactly the same values and beliefs. So how can we build bridges when there is so much to consider? Beyond historical and cultural differences, we all share something sacred. We share stories, have practices, and have rituals. We have moral guidelines, teach kindness, have spiritual leaders and community. And we all believe in a purpose in life toward some form of salvation or an existence after death. As metaphysicians, we are by our very nature faith-friendly and inclusive, and we encourage interreligious dialogue. The only thing we all share and have in common is our trust and faith in one overall supreme being, creator, source, or God, and our genuine search for truth. But maybe bridge building is all much simpler than I thought. As metaphysicians, we believe that our very first step is to realize that no one on this earth has full access to the capital T truth. We believe we only have partial access. Therefore, it is crucial to be truly open to learning from others and genuinely be respectful and appreciative of our differences, even if we may not fully understand or agree. Since the beginning of time, we have had teachers, prophets, and wise people, all offering us partial truths and insights into the secrets of life. With our attitude of genuine humility and curiosity, we can honestly welcome people of other religions. Stay curious, ask genuine, polite, and thoughtful questions about their special ways of life, their holidays and traditions, and listen. And we can share our own. As metaphysicians, we recognize that every day there are many practical ways in which we can build bridges while also doing things together, such as we are doing tonight, sharing meals, working on community projects together, supporting environmental, safety, educational, or health programs, sharing acts of kindness, but also playing music or dancing together, and so much more. When we serve others side by side, love and friendship grow naturally. In summary, let's be good and honorable. We are all people. We are all unique and perhaps, in some ways, even a little bit weird. So what? Goodwill and gratitude for our experience as humans are our opportunity, our task, and divine gift. As metaphysicians, we also aim to incorporate the interconnections among many scientific disciplines, including psychology, mathematics, neuroscience, parapsychology, cosmology, consciousness, and quantum research, to continually expand our knowledge and understanding our reality. We study universal laws and principles, mysticism, and the purpose of all life here and in the cosmos, and attempt to comprehend and practice love. We are not about fancy words and lofty concepts. We are practical and aim to discover our role on this planet, our learning and spiritual advancement, and our relationship, our source and origin, God. True metaphysicians are intrinsically open to building bridges and encourage everyone to commit to their own discoveries, spiritual paths, and authentic selves. On behalf of the Metaphysical Academy, thank you to the Islamic and Interfaith community, our key organizer, Rizwan Prasada, our moderator, Mr. Adam Olson, our panelists, special guests and dignitaries, and all the many volunteers and other contributors to today's event for our dedication to creating this safe place for learning and becoming better people here and worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Annalie. Final presenter this evening, where we'll share a meal together, is Mr. Shrikant Shenwai. Shrikant is retired from the wireless industry, is a retired wireless industry executive and experienced business leader. He holds a Hindu seat on the board of the Victoria Multi-Faith Society and serves on the board of the Victoria Hindu Parishad. And then the rest of it is a mystery to me because that's where his bio got cut off. So he will tell us the rest of his story. Please welcome Shrikant.
Thank you, Adam. So since I've been given the privilege of being the last speaker in this gathering, let me start by offering you an apology and a promise. An apology that I'm the last man standing between your meals and me, sorry. And the promise that I'll try to keep it short and hopefully you enjoy the talk. So we're here today to talk about bridges, building bridges. But let me take you to a different place. Let me take you to windows. And let me explain why. Imagine a group of us, each one of us from different faith, have been invited to this beautiful round house on top of a mountain. So join me as a representative of your faith in this journey to the top of this mountain, where we are in this beautiful round house with windows on all sides. Each one of us stand in front of the window that is given to us or to you. Look outside, and I'm sure as you look outside, you'll see a beautiful view. Imagine the faith is all about giving us a portal, a window to divinity. And that's sort of the vision you probably have as you look out. But I'm sure as you look out of the window, each one of us probably sees a different view. And there's a chance that we might start arguing at time, my view is better than yours. Not a surprising thing to happen when each one of us are looking at so-called slightly different things, or maybe at times very different things. And that's because we're looking from inside the window out. Imagine now, somebody comes along, the host, and says, guys, time to step out. Get out of this house, come on the outside. Once you're on the outside, instead of looking out, all of us, each one of you, look inside from the window that you'll be looking outside from. Imagine what you'll see. You'll all see the same thing. It won't be a different view. It would be a shared reality where all came from. And that's the beauty of what we at times miss. In fact, that reminds me of this story that I'm sure all of us have heard of blind man and elephant. So we probably have heard of that story 100 times. It's a story where blind men gathered around the elephant, and a wise man tells them to describe the elephant. So what do people do? They touch the elephant. As they touch the elephant, they all touch different parts. Somebody declares, oh, it's like a wall, because standing with a big belly. Somebody says, no, it's like a pillar, so on and so forth. Why? Because we are having a perspective, even though we are blind, a perspective of what we can touch and feel. And that limits our ability to see the truth. Till the wise man tells us, guys, you all have parts of the truth. Nothing wrong with what you see. It's all part of the same truth of the elephant. You are just looking at it from or touching it from a different perspective. That's all about it. In fact, that reminds me, growing up, I was probably one of those blind men too. And I'm sure each one of us who had the chance of growing up in a faith group, early part of your life, chances are, you knew what your faith was about. Probably had very little understanding of perspective, like me, of what other faith groups are, till you had a chance to interact with people. In fact, that's what happened to me. As I had a chance to travel, meet different communities, make friends from different faith groups, I learned. I learned something about different parts of the truth. And that taught me beautiful aspects. Islam, about surrender, about peace. Christianity, about service, love, so on and so forth. These are all different facets of what is a common truth. Okay. In fact, this brought me to, this made me realize something that I read in childhood about one of the most ancient texts in Hinduism, which says something like this: Ekam Sat Vipra Yoda Vadanti. It's a text from one of the oldest scriptures. Some say about 5,000 year old scriptures called Rigveda. What that means is Ekam Sat means one truth. Vipra Boda Vadanti means different sages or seers call it by different names. So that is the reality of where we come from. And that's what I realized my faith was teaching on the law. I was probably one of the blind men who didn't recognize it till I was exposed to the reality of being in interaction with people. So here I invite all of you again to let's revisit that beautiful round house that we started. Let's go to that beautiful place. This time, not as visitors, as people of the same family who have that in common abode. A place that we all given together. As we live there together, I'm sure we realize there's so much to be shared, so much to be learned from each other, so much beauty that's already available to us by just being together in a shared space. And at that stage, I think it will become clear to us. Maybe it's not about building more bridges, it's about looking at windows, more windows. Probably not from inside out, but from outside in. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for those beautiful remarks. This evening we appreciate each and every contribution that's made this evening in the effort to be more inclusive and bringing us together as many peoples united. We have one more dignitary that we'd like to introduce to you. Online, Honorable Parliamentary Secretary British Columbia, Amina Shah, on behalf of the Premier. I believe that you're online. There we go. Amina.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Adam, for the warm welcome, and such a pleasure to see you again. Before I begin, I just want to acknowledge I just arrived in, and I'm calling from the lands of the Lekwungen speaking peoples, also known as the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations, and I give this land acknowledgement to recognize their longstanding relationships with this land and to reaffirm my commitment to treating those relationships with the honor that they have always deserved. I really am so happy to be here with you, although virtually, as we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the World Religions Conference right here, actually, in beautiful Victoria. And I thank our hosts, and I thank all of you for participating in what I can gather to be such an enriching experience, and that you will go out with this into our communities and hopefully bless us with that as well. And today, is a day to honor the beauty, the strength, and the richness of our province's diversity. And I'm sure you know this because all you have to do is look around you. And it's incredible to have heard from multiple different speakers from different faiths and the wisdom that they have to offer to all of us. And a gathering like today is a testament to the strength of the human connection. The reality is that the world around us is actually in a tumultuous state right now, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed when we're seeing the news. But I hope that today's gathering and through the conversations that you've shared with each other, that you remember that hope is alive and it's well. And as long as we keep caring for our neighbors and for our loved ones, we continue to refuse to bow down to the negativity that may surround us. And in these challenging times, when some governments are pulling back on diversity and inclusion initiatives, British Columbia is strongly moving forward. In a world that can often be divided by fear or with misunderstanding, multiculturalism is a reminder of what's possible when we choose inclusion over exclusion and isolation. And today reminds us that BC is defined much more than just geography. It's defined by the vibrant communities in which we work and which we live and in which we play. And we come from different cultures, we speak different languages, and we have different stories. And yet we all ended up here in this amazing province. And so no matter where we come from, we all celebrate life through food, music, traditions, and the stories that we have. But these are all the things that we can share with others. And that makes us stronger. It's because of each other, one another. And our differences are not just barriers, they're bridges. And they teach us empathy, they teach us resilience, connection, while reminding us that at the end of the day, what we care about is the same. Our families, our traditions, our future, our children, and really importantly, our dignity. So each of us is a thread in the fabric of this province. We are unique in our origins, but we're stronger together. And just a little bit, very briefly, just about me. I'm a first generation immigrant to Canada. And when I came here with a lot of hope, excitement, and quite a bit of nervousness as well. And I actually still remember the very cold night that I arrived to Canada. And I distinctly remember the warmth and the kindness of the words of the CBSA officer who said to me, and she said, "Welcome to Canada. There's a lot of snow out there to play in, so enjoy it." And that in itself was not just exciting for me, but she was my bridge. She was my bridge to a happy, a bright future and a snowy future in which I could play in. So that night stands out to me and defines what it means to be a bridge. A bridge, someone can be your bridge in some of the most basic, the most kind words that they can give to a child in a new place. And you know, my parents, like many others, came here seeking a better life and opportunities for themselves and for their family. And they worked hard, they sacrificed quietly, and they taught me the values of resilience, of respect, and of service. And growing up, I saw how much they had to navigate just to fit in, and how often they almost had to code switch what they had to do to compromise and just keep their heads down just so that they could be quote unquote enough for others. And unfortunately, I also saw them face discrimination. And sometimes it was subtle, sometimes it was overt. I saw them being overlooked, spoken down to, treated as outsiders in our own community. But I also saw the kindness of others who went out of their way to help them. So I saw their struggle, but more importantly, I saw kindness and I also saw their resilience. I saw that no matter what came their way, they took it, They transformed it into a success, and they passed it along to others in our community and also others who came here after us, who probably shared a very similar story to us. And so these experiences, they shaped my path and they guided me my entire life to speak up, to fight back in the right ways, and to help build a society where people of all cultures and backgrounds have an equal opportunity to thrive. And as your parliamentary secretary for anti-racism initiatives, I'm working with the Attorney General, the Honorable Nikki Sharma, to ensure that everyone in British Columbia has the tools and the opportunities to build a good life, which is also free of discrimination. We want to build a province where everyone feels valued, respected, and seen. And in today's world, connecting with different cultures, beliefs opens new doors for work, for learning, and for personal growth. And so I want to say thank you to the organizers and to the volunteers who made today possible, for creating the space to connect, to share experiences, and perhaps to even discover something new. BC's strength comes from our multiculturalism, and we should never let people tell us otherwise. We all recognize and we connect with the stories that each and every single one of us carry. The ones who speak in different accents, who cook with different spices, who carry trauma and pride in equal measure. It's about seeing each other fully and creating the space where no one has to shrink themselves to fit in. So on this day, I hope that you've all committed yourselves to being curious, non-judgmental, and to building a society where we don't just tolerate our differences, but we also celebrate them. Thank you so much for all that you do and for celebrating what makes British Columbia the best place to call home. Thank you.
All right, so there was a question and answer period that we've decided to set aside for here. However, there are many questions that you may have, and there are answers that they would like to find for you. So if you could email your question cards, put your email on the question card, and that way then they can respond to you. The organizers can respond. So if you have a question, put it on your card, put your email, your contact information, so that they're able to, the host organizers are able to connect with you. I just want to close a loop that I opened at the beginning of this when I talked about my grandmother, Sikwa, Sage woman. I told you that I was sitting in her living room. She was in her 90s at the time. She was born in 1915, just here in Sage. And you can imagine in 1915 that her life, she saw a lot of people moving into her territory, the territory that her ancestors had been in for countless generations. And a lot of change in her life that she experienced. And one of the things that she said to me in that conversation that we were having was, Adam, none of this is going away. We have to figure out how to live here together. We have to figure out a way for us to coexist in this place. And so when she invited me to act as a bridge, when she invited me to be to play that role, she wanted me to encourage all of you to bring your diversity to this place, Husayich. She really wanted me to pass along to you an invitation for you to live here like you belonged here, just the way the Husayich people did. To love this place, to look after the lands and waters of this place, just like the Husayich people and our Creator, our Transformer, Hales, has invited us to look after this place. as all living things in this place are our relatives. And so when you're here in Satan, when you're in this place as the Straight Sailors people, to really love and embrace all creation as your relatives, as your relations, and to live here like you belong here. It's an invitation, it's a beautiful invitation, and it's one that I think is very fitting with the spirit of this event today. To go back to the comments of us being one, Natsa, us being together, walking together. Natsamat is a word that is often, you probably have heard if you've been in this territory, moving together. I really appreciate the opportunity to share this couple of hours with you this afternoon. I really appreciate the invitation to participate. And I'll now turn the microphone back over to the hosts. Thank you. I just see them.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you to all of the speakers. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. As we proceed towards the concluding moments of this session, I want to request the lead organizer of this conference, Mr. Rizwan Mirzada Sahab, to come to the podium and share a vote of thanks. Mr. Rizwan Mirzada.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think so. When I come in the last year, you're most delightful because after that is going to be dinner. But dinner is coming, so you have a smell of that, and so we will eat in a few minutes. I really want to thank you, the first moderator and speaker panel, for an awesome job on it. They have done it. So thank you very much. Events like this, takes a lot of hard work. It's every day campaigning for something, that you think it can motivate people to come and attend the conference. So I really like to appreciate our volunteers. I like to appreciate our local cooperation from all the churches here and synagogue and temple that have contributed their hard work with us. I'd like to recognize two people here right now. They both are just out of hospital now. One of them is a Sheila Fletcher, a very nice lady, and work hard to promote this conference. So I really thank you, Victoria Multi-Faith Society, for contributing their work to make this program successful. Same time, I'd like to recognize our local chapter president, Ruksan Bhatt. He was out of hospital now and is recovering it. So this was his job to do the vote of thanks, but I'm doing on behalf of him. So may God, all of them, bless them with good health. Special thanks to, our cooking staff. It's a lot of work. So I'd like to recognize the team leader, Mubarak Chaudhry, age of 74, is still working very hard. And I don't know how he finds the energy, but he does, So he travels with me everywhere where I host the conference, which is Prince George, Vernon, Abbotsford, Victoria, and Whitehorse, Yukon, and which will be on March 24th this year. So with this, thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Adam, for your good work. I wish I was your party member. So thank you very much. Our dinner is ready, and I request, it's our tradition to close the ceremony with a silent prayer. I will request Imam Farhan Iqbal Sahib to do that, and you can pray with your own prayer. So, Mr. Farhan Iqbal, thank you.
We have our programs with a silent prayer, so you can join us however you like. Please join me in silent prayer.